Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Kashif Kamran and today I am sharing with you all the SBL key tips for the December 23 exams. In fact, these are tips which can add value and excellence to your upcoming exam sitting. Let's start looking at the exam tips for the December 23 exams, which are just 4 days away now. Now, my first tip or my first advice to students appearing for December 23 exams is to integrate your answer with the information from the case exhibit. The more you integrate your answer with the specific information which has been provided to you by the examining team in the exhibits which are available on the day of exam, you are producing a more relevant answer or a more impressive answer. A lot of times students ask that should we relate the information from pre-seen into our answer? Yes, only where it is applicable. It's not like you are relating the information from pre-seen in every answer you are writing, but because the pre-seen information is at the back of your mind, so you might recall something from it. And while you're writing an answer for any particular task, you might recall something which you can link to your answer and make your answer more impressive. But it's not like forcefully you are trying to link the information from pre-seen in every answer. No, that is not the case. Your answer will be developed from the exhibits which are given to you specifically on the day of exam. But yes, something from the pre-seen, because that's at the back of your mind, can help you in your answer or in the development of your answer somewhere across any particular task across your 100 marks paper. So if you have that sort of a misunderstanding that in every answer you are writing, there has to be a pre-seen content into it, that's absolutely wrong. The case specific exhibit or the case specific information given on the day of exam has to be part of the answer you're writing, but pre-seen can come anywhere, wherever you can recall something or you want to relate something to the pre-seen information. Where possible, you can do that. So, but the key of success here is the integration. The more you integrate your answer with the case specific information, so the success lies in integration. So you need to write a well-connected answer with exhibits. That is the first success factor in your SBL exam. Number 2, adapt your knowledge according to the case information. Adaption. Adaption is the second success factor. Rote learn knowledge or just reproducing knowledge is of no use in the SBL exam. It's about adapting yourself according to the case context and according to the needs of the requirement. Benefits of big data or challenges or opportunities around cybersecurity. You must have read this topic from your textbook or from an examiner article, but you cannot just directly reproduce the benefits of big data or challenges of cybersecurity directly in the exam paper if a question comes around that. But you need to see what is so specific about cybersecurity or big data in the information presented to you by the examiner, and then try to adapt that according to the situation, bringing your knowledge and adapting your knowledge into the context of the case and producing a relevant answer. So just the reproducing of the knowledge is useless. It's about adaptation. So adaptation holds the key to success in SBL. Number 3, reading and planning holds the key to success. And that's extremely important, right? The time you spend on reading and planning is utmost important. 1/4 of your total time in exam paper is for reading and planning. So 195 minutes you have, take 1/4 of that. That is the time you have for reading and planning, and 3/4 time of the 195 minutes you have for writing. And you can then divide that reading and planning time you found 195 and 1/4 of 195, and you can then split across the 3 tasks. Now, in terms of the reading and planning time, what exactly you are doing? Let's take an example. Firstly, you read the task and you identify while reading through the task which exhibit the task connects to, so that once you start reading the exhibit, you know which particular exhibit to read for answering the task one, for example. Now, you know, since the change of time management in SBL paper since September 23 exams, and number of exhibits going down and the number of tasks going down, every task relates to a certain exhibit. Now, for example, there is an exhibit on the left panel of the screen which has a title Letter to CEO. And while you're reading to the task one, you got a terminology while reading through the task one, CEO or letter to CEO or something like that. And you almost recall, oh, there is an exhibit which has a title letter to CEO. So that means this task one should be answered from exhibit one, where there is a specific letter to CEO. Or for example, there is a specific exhibit titled board minutes. And while you're reading through a task, there is a reference to board minutes in that task. And you immediately recall that the answer for this task will come out of the board minutes exhibit. So it's easy picking out which exhibit to connect the task with. Secondly, understand what to do. Read the requirement carefully. At times, students don't read the requirement carefully. There could be a comma, there could be and, within one requirements, there could be multiple things the examining team is asking for. So be very particular about that. Break the requirement and investigate the number of points you need to develop versus marks. Look at the marks 6, 8, 10. Every well-developed point in SBL is 2 marks. So you need to know how many points I need to find from the case study when I start to read the specific exhibit. Thirdly, you need to confirm in which format you need to write the answer. So while you're reading and planning, you need to look at what is the examining team asking for. Should I need to put the presentation slides with accompanying notes, or should I prepare a memo, a briefing note, a letter? What should I do? Lastly, ensure how to demonstrate the professional skill marks. You know that under every requirement, the examining team will ask you to demonstrate a professional skill. Read the statement very carefully so to know how to demonstrate the professional skill. Each time the examining team asks you to demonstrate a skill, they will also tell you how. And the problem with the student is they don't read that how, and they try to demonstrate the skill by virtue of a definition. You need to demonstrate the skill as the examining team wants you to demonstrate. And every time the examining team will tell you how to demonstrate the skill if you read that statement in full. Note, while reading exhibit, identify the relevant points and copy paste them to your word processor. So later, you can develop them into a well-explained point as per the expectation of the requirement. Copy-paste is a good technique, but alone copy-paste is very bad. You need to copy-paste when you're reading the exhibits. So when you start writing, the content is there on the word processor. And then you can just modify the content, you can explain the content, you can add value to the content, and that will become an impressive explanation of a well-developed point. I'll come to that point of copy-paste. There is a criticism of the examiner around copy-paste, how the student use it on the day of exam later in my tips. So reading and planning holds the key to success. 1/4 of your total time in exam is reading and planning, and the investment you are doing in reading and planning is really, really important. Tip number 4, model isn't the best answer. A lot of time I've seen students that in every task, they try to think of a model. They try to think which model will be applied here, even though model isn't the best answer. At times you're reading a requirement. Suppose the requirement is telling you about something to do around external environment. Then that's very pretty sure you're applying the pestle model. Or the requirement is telling you something about national advantage or something about factors which enable the company to be successful in a home country. Now, factors which enable you to be successful in a home country is like a Porter diamond. So sometimes the model is very pickable, or examiner is saying analyze the power and interest. So it's very power and interest of a stakeholder. So that's very pickable. That's the Menlo matrix. But sometimes model may, if you cannot click a model and you just answer the requirement of a question, linking that to the case study without the model, you will still be rewarded, because examining team has mentioned this multiple times that model isn't the best answer. So even if you're doing it without a model, you cannot recall a model, but you try to understand the requirement and you try to link the requirement with the information in the case study and you present a good answer, that's wonderful. For example, you need to evaluate the strategic option. And one student thought, oh, this is the SAF model. I look at the suitability of the option. I look at the acceptability of the option. I look at the feasibility of the option. But another student just evaluated the option by looking at the pros and cons in the case study. For the particular option, he will look into the case study and see what is good for the option, what is bad for the option, or what is in favor of the option, what is against the option, and he develops the answer without applying the SAF model. So your answer is valid. So model isn't the best answer. So don't just forcefully try to think or try to pick a model for every particular task. A task can be done without model unless and until the model is very explicitly clarified by the examiner while you're reading through the task. The tip number 5, demonstrate journal professionalism across your answers. This is so easy, and journal professionalism is part of your professional skill marks in SBL, and you can easily take them. Don't lose them. What you need to do for journal professionalism across your answers, ensure you put your answer in the right format. That's so easy. Split the answer into headings and subheadings. That's so easy. Put conclusion where needed. A lot of time we need to put conclusion when the examining team is asking to evaluate something or assess something, because assessment means you need to conclude. Evaluate means you need to conclude. Avoid repeating points in the same answer and avoid lengthy paragraphs too. The maximum length of a para in SBL is like 4 sentences long and break the para. These are simple things you can do to add value to your answer, make an impressive answer, and fetch journal professionalism marks, which are part of professional skill marks. And the examining team has made it multiple times clear in the examiner report, journal professionalism. Tip number 6, focus on a well-developed point, 2 marks. Each well-developed point in SBL is 2 marks. But what is a well-developed point? Firstly, which is integrated to the case study, which is adapted according to the situation, which is well explained. You copy paste something from the case study, but then you have to develop it according to the requirement. You have to explain it according to the expectation of the requirement. So if you develop it up to like 4 sentences, that is a very good depth of a point. That is a very good stretch of a point. And that is a well rewarding point. So integration, adaptation, it has a strong explanation, explanation according to the need of the requirement. What is the requirement asking you? Is it asking you to identify any challenges or opportunities or any benefits, or identify the power and interest of a stakeholder? Then you need to explain around that. Or it's asking you something about assessing a risk. So you develop your answer around the likelihood and impact of the risk in a well structured 4-sentence paragraph. So that is very, very important that you focus on a well-developed point. 1 to 2 sentences is not a well-developed point. So it should stretch to that 3 to 4 sentences, 3 to 4 sentences for it to sound like a well-developed point. Tip number 7. Sorry, this should be tip number 7, but technically on your screen it's like tip number 8. So just let's take a tip number 8. Alone copy pasting is irrelevant just to pad up your answer. At times the student just copy paste large chunk of text from exhibits and they are least bothered about doing anything. Just copy pasting large chunk of text is useless because you are getting nothing on that. So if you copy paste, you only need to copy paste a sentence for you to remember later when you're writing the answer. And then you need to convert that sentence into your explanation and into your well-developed point. But just alone copy pasting of large chunk of text to add quantum to your answer, just to pad up your answer, just impressing the examiner that my answer looks very lengthy, even though you have done nothing. So if you believe just copy pasting will give you marks, never. This is not a skill which a strategic business leader should demonstrate. So copy pasting is a good function, of a computer-based exam, but at times the student misuse the function by just alone copy pasting and not adding any value to the statement you have copy pasted to your answer. The next step, demonstrate commercial acumen. Demonstrate awareness of how something will benefit the organization given in the case. If you're writing any benefits, or if you're writing any challenges, if you're writing any opportunities, try to link them with the organization. How will it benefit the organization? How will it be an opportunity for an organization? So you need to have an awareness of the nature of the organization, the business the organization is doing, the stakeholders of the organization. So that sort of information should be there because you've already read the pre-scene. So you know the industry very well, you know the organization very well, you know the characteristics of the organization, you know what they do, you know their stakeholders very well from the read of the pre-scene. So when you're writing any sort of benefit in the exam paper, that benefit should link to the organization given in the case particularly, that how will it be a benefit for the organization rather than writing a journal benefit. Or when writing benefits or opportunities, link them specifically to the case fact as to how ideally it would be helpful for the organization. So demonstrate awareness, and that awareness has already been created from the pre-scene content. So when you're writing anything, it should interact with the organization. It should link with the organization, that how will this be beneficial to the organization if you're writing any benefits in the exam paper or advantages. Okay, that ends the tip. I hope you will largely benefit from the tips I've discussed with you. And these are some very critical aspects of the SBL paper. I hope these tips will add value on your day of exams. And I wish you all the very best of luck and success for your upcoming December 23 exams for SBL. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from this exam tips session. Take care.